Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. Back for another episode. Today, February 26, 2014, of Manny's Writing Speakeasy. And today, I will have a bunch of poems ready for you, and yeah, I guess you could consider them prose as well. They're going to have a cold-centric theme, if you will. I know a lot of you people out there are probably sick of hearing or feeling about the cold, but I'm sure I can put some fire into the topics of these poems. I don't know, I guess maybe with this winter, and I've always been a snow lover, I've just been infatuated with cold weather places, and I've been writing. These aren't exactly about the cold weather places themselves, but I'll explain some of them. And then at the end, I'll have a couple of surprises for you, and maybe we'll get some callers in today. We'll see about that. But I'm going to start off a while with the first piece here, called Polar Star. Polarizing. I'm a polar star or bear reaching for a fish because the wasteland is too barren for other life forms. Grasping my voice like jet black claws, I squish and squeeze any last hope out of the salmon that prayed for it. Escape feeds no one. A star, benign, uninfluenced, twinkling in the moonlight, only awes viewers and breeds ignorance from anyone not piqued by astronomy. I am polarizing like this desert, may be beautiful in its hue or suffocating in its density. That one was called Polar Star. By the way, I forgot to mention the opening 30 seconds instrumental was from a track called World So Cold by AmaTeshi. That Polar Star poem seems to signify to me about how certain people can be portrayed, especially people who seem to have a good heart, but they have major flaws. I would describe that for someone who seems to just love too much, and they have it there. They're great people, but sometimes they grasp a little too hard to somebody and they kill them. Not literally, but I think you can understand where I'm going with that. Suffocation or weight, poignantly, involves this next poem, which aptly is called Weight. Other people's lives construct, erect, constrict, push and pull, waiting for you to grab on and force yourself, immerse into someone else, becoming them. The weight of it all has me dreaming for Antarctica all over again, where nobody can bother me. lonesomeness isn't all it's cracked up to be, but individuality is. My childhood years, for many days, where I locked myself inside of my own four walls, paralyzing anyone else's thought or possible force to their thought. Well, guess what? I'm sick of being pressed against mine, and like as a child, I will board these four walls and elicit my own individual style, my own individual thought, my own individuality. Yes, it is all it's cracked up to be. That one, as I said, was called Wait. And as you could probably tell throughout that poem, I would perceive that to be, just people trying to force you to be what they want you to be. And, well, guess what? I, for many years, hated the fact that I was different. I knew far along that I was different from pretty much everybody, and I used to hate that fact. I used to want to be like everybody else. I used to question why I wasn't. Well, I can definitely say those days are over. Fuck that shit. I am my own human being, and I would hope that anyone who's listening would follow that advice. Don't be like me, just be yourself. It seems like such a simple task, yet not many people seem to do it. And I used to be like that, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning. I still have my moments where I regress into my older ways, but for the most part, I am my own human being now, and I enjoy that fact. I enjoy all my quirks. I enjoy everything about me that is good. And I'm glad of that now, because I'm not going to let anybody try and change me, and I would hope that other people would heed that advice. If you were to listen to anything on this show, I would say heed that advice at least, because it is good to be yourself. Don't let people try and change you if you don't need to be changed. Anyway, that was the point of that poem. Third one here, it's interesting how I brought up Antarctica on the last poem, because this one is called Antarctica. And I'll explain more about it when I'm done reading. So long to the sad, sad state of our cold world. Deserted us has the warmth. The sun does not, making it worse. Like God is making a joke out of us, teasing us with its presence. But no clothes can guard us from the ultraviolet rays or the vicious chill almost noosing you at the mouth, nose, and eyes. All are bundled in igloos, solace, solitude, try to prevail, but there really is none here. We all clatter with the wisping movement of the brisk breeze. We all group around each other naked to try and form a bond of warmth around us. And we all shiver, scream out into the night, howl to the wind, and try and speak to anyone who is listening. Because this type of cold, this type of pain makes us wait for our deaths It's the only solace left. Because there's no reason to live like this. It's a shame. These places, these conditions exist. I hope to get out before I can't change back. Again, that is called Antarctica. That one is kind of about, well, how I would imagine living in Antarctica, but it's also, I would say, my own experiences, as I mentioned last week, lately, of kind of feeling alone and cold, and, you know, how poignant how this winter has gone to add to that. But obviously weather is no importance when it comes to extreme life issues. Not that I'm going through extreme issues at the moment, but just feeling as though you're alone and you're just being bombarded by everything and you have no protection, and it can make you really weak at times. But the point I guess I have to make is that I have gotten out before I couldn't change back into how I want to be. This next piece is one that I'm really proud of. This is what I like to call the showcase piece. This is a piece that I feel is the best and can describe the most out of whatever I'm trying to explain. And this one is called Pinniped Ballad. This is, well, let me explain first that pinniped is actually what a seal is formally called. That's their formal name. And this is about seal hunting. It also has to tie in line with a series of poetry/prose short stories that I'm writing that all involve cold places, which is what I got the idea for this episode today as well. So it ties into that as well. So, but since, even though it's only probably loosely tied to the other poems that I'm writing and shared with you today, I wanted to share this with because I'm pretty proud of it. Pinniped Ballad. Ice jam, log flow, out into the caked sea, entering fortresses of line dancing glaciers. Dash, dash through the tops of the rough as they tow most boats into shipwreck. Coughs for breaths. I am a heretic to the end. Because godless frozen foam and howling winds like this cannot exist in a perfect, God-minding world. I saved the worst for last, however. No clock. Ticks are irrelevant. Time warps into wormholes, trapping you into its gravity of the dire situation. Alaska, Russia, South America, Bouvet Island, wherever I'm at, the near delusions and the cold itself has nearly paralyzed me. Flopping, starving, burning seals wave for spots on what's left of this. A shift in the ecology or the climate ends the ends and gives no new beginnings. I want to reap the rewards of the desolation. A sharpened edge has no heart. Harpoon their guts out as I throw for short stacks and my own life. Gliding, binding through the air, I have rusted the metal, but also have made pact. Strike! I hit my target. Frayed ropes lug the game back. I've poached. I've won. A struggling squirm of a pinniped squeals for mercy or to death if death has arrived. I have no mercy for them, for I will be them soon. They link me to the hell I've created. These noises carve my tombstone in half. But I will stay alive a few more days at least. And with that, at least, the least of me continues on. Footstep, footstep, walk, trudge into the city squares. With the juxtaposition of the swindle and the empty promise of bartering, I had my green shade. They lined up for miles and streets and corners to get a piece of my action. The sweet smell of dirty hands and soiled paper enriched what was lost in other lives. And their faces told all I needed to know, as their smiles brought me maybe, just maybe, a small, infinitesimal amount of warmth to the cold, cold hell that I was in. Many people would say I rented my soul out, but those strangers looking for a few weeks of prosperity. But the trick is, I see it as finding a way to live in a place not meant to live in. All right, everybody, that was Pinniped Ballad. And that one, as I said, much like a lot of the others that I've shared today, but this one especially, I am rather proud of it because I got out the full message that I wanted to describe. Not just per se seal hunting and, the absolute evils that come along with that, but just selling your soul out completely. And I guess in a way to describe, because a lot of people and a lot of stories and a lot of movies portray the bad guy. And I would believe a seal hunter would be a bad guy. But not many people try and get in the mind of a bad guy and really try and just figure out why he does what he does. And that's what I wanted to portray there. I wanted to portray why somebody would do something like that that's really just disgusting. And maybe there is a reason why they did what they did. And with this one, I think you can understand what the reasoning was. Anyway, that one was Pinniped Ballad. I guess the point of these poems today is to show what it's like to end up cold, and I think that's what our world is turning into, and it scares me, I'm not going to lie, because when we lose our feeling, we lose our consequence and our reasoning for existing. Because when you have no feeling, what do you care if and why and how you exist? And that may be more than anything, too, is why I am writing this series of short stories, to explain why I feel as though people may turn cold and why it shouldn't be allowed and maybe the consequences of it. So that's basically what I've been trying to portray tonight. So I thank you all for listening today, whoever has. And as with my first episode, the links to this show archived on Blog Talk Radio, as well as it will be on my YouTube channel, all the episodes that I will do from here on out. So if you missed it today, obviously you can hear this at a later time. Hopefully we can get some more promotion and get some live callers in next week, because that would be pretty cool. Now, when I mean live caller, I would like someone to call in to either give their opinion, or if they have a poem of their own they want to. I would actually be more interested in that. I would love to hear feedback as well, but if somebody wants to come on and read their own poetry or short stories of any kind, that would be awesome too. To be honest, if I would get a lot of people to do that, I would, because this show is only a half an hour long because I have a free account. If enough people were to bring out the input, I would pay for this and make this more than a half an hour long show. But as it stands, as it were, we'll just go with what we have for now. So that's what we'll do for now. But again, if I can get some callers, then that'd be great. I would love it. I'm going to end the show today with a short, I guess you could call it prose piece. It's called Grass and Men. The winding fields of forest green show their colors when adversity rears its ugly head. Do you see expansive green when the icy chill of winter arrives? Do you see any blades even sticking up out of the snow when it's too high? What about the leaves on the trees? What color are they when the cold arrives? The only difference between grass and humans is we humans have a choice whether to turn brown or not when our figurative winter arrives. That's all we have for today. Thank you all for anyone who has listened or will listen. I gladly appreciate it. And we will end this show with, once again, a song called World So Cold, which opened the show as well by AmaTeshi. By the way, one last note. The first couple of minutes of Pinniped Ballad was backgrounded by a song by Yagya, which is called Cold Hands. So if you want to look those up, those are the names as well. Thank you all for listening today. I appreciate it. Have a good and try and have a warm day.
Когда